Today, I am so happy to welcome my very special guest, Janet Carroll. And if you're listening to the podcast, you won't be able to see our faces right now, but I'm smiling and feeling so happy today. And because Janet's here with me on Zoom, and she has, it appears that she's on a lovely tropical island with ocean waves and a palm tree in the background, which I don't know if she's actually there or this is just an image, but it's making me really happy to imagine that I'm there too. So Janet is going to talk to us today about laughter yoga. And before we get started, I'll tell you a little bit more about her. Janet has had a dual career with 48 years in nursing and 35 years in massage therapy, which have given her not only decades of experience in health services, but a special insight into well-being. It was out of this insight that her passion for laughter yoga was born. And in 2014, Janet became certified as a laughter yoga leader and instructor. She has since made it her mission to provide caregiving professionals with the tools they need to heal from and prevent burnout, restore their joy, and connect more deeply with students. And you can learn more about Janet's work at her website, which is Janet Carroll, CarrollRN.com. And right now I'll announce, stay tuned through our interview because I am going to host Janet for a special 1-hour free webinar on laughter yoga that's coming up on February 17th. And we'll tell you more about that near the end of our conversation. But I just wanted to let you know that that will be coming up. So Janet, welcome. And thanks for joining me today.
Oh man, and thanks for the invitation. I'd like to start out this discussion today with how I normally start out anything with laughter yoga, and it's going to be with a laughter yoga exercise. Laughter yoga is so easy and fun. So what I'm going to do is just say aloha, hold it on, and we'll go from there, but I'd like you to join me. So there'll be two of us doing it, okay? Aloha. And again, aloha. And one more time, aloha. Oh man, how was that for you?
It was great. And it really helped that you have the tropical palm tree there because I feel like I'm in Hawaii, so it's appropriate.
Wow, I lived in Hawaii for a while, so I really resonate with it. I was asked to tell a little bit about my story. My story is, when I got to college, I wanted to be a psychologist. And I wanted to be with patients. I wanted to go all the way through for a PhD, and that was going to be my career. I only had one option for college, and that was the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee in my hometown. And the first day of school, I got there, and it turns out that their psych department was oriented toward rats and research. Mm-hmm. Not exactly what I wanted. So very quickly, I said, wow, can't do this, because there wasn't an option for me to go to any other school. I really wanted University of Wisconsin in Madison. Not possible. Anyway, so I kind of went, oh, what do I do now? And I thought, okay, what am I going to do? Oh, there's an anthropology class. I'm going to go and learn about anthropology. And then I did, and I said, no, I don't think that's for me. And I went through 3 different careers and got down to teaching or nursing. I don't know where nursing came out of, just out of the clear blue sky. And I don't even remember how I decided, but I chose nursing. And I am here to this day because of that choice. And I'm so excited about where I'm at. As I went along in my nursing career, And I was always more of an independent person. So I was a public health nurse. I mean, I have done so much in the nursing field. Then I became one of the pioneer nurse practitioners back in the 70s in Wisconsin. And I had challenges with different, finding something where I could feel alive, and I wanted not to be tied down in a hospital. So my challenge was, what do I do? And it's public health nursing that opened a lot of doors for me. And so, and then I moved from Milwaukee, came down here, and just said, I have to do something independent. And the independence was, the difference between, or how men and women relate to stress differently and how to bridge the gap. And I was committed to bringing this message into nurses. And it never went over the way I thought it would. And I found myself just saying, what am I doing? What am I supposed to do? And one day there was a little ad for a laughter yoga class. And she was the first person in the Houston area to offer this. It took me almost a year to be able to have a schedule that was clear enough that I could go to the class. So I went, and after the first laughter yoga exercise, I just said, that's it. That's it. I'm going to get trained in this. I want to do this. Very, very suddenly, out of the clear blue sky. And so I went to the first training. That was in Austin, 2 days worth. And then I went to a 5-day training that put me so that I could train other people. And that was really important to me. So laughter yoga, and then I got involved in some other things. And I've begun a whole blending kind of practice. And I've expanded my audience into all different areas, not only of nursing, but teaching. And what I have found out, I'm just kind of a universal girl, meaning when I'm doing laughter yoga today, laughter yoga is so freeing. It's meant for everybody. And then you can tweak it according to backgrounds, professions, but the bottom line is it's universal. Mm-hmm. From small children to, I've had some clients up over 100 years old, and they laugh just as loud as everybody else. So it's rather exciting. So here I am.
Yeah, and here we are today together. And there's so many things I want to ask you, but I thought maybe we should start by just talking about what is laughter anyway, because I was telling you this before we started recording. I used to think of laughter as just something, an outpouring that would happen when you're really happy and really joyful, until I started working in hospice. And I found that my patients and their families laughed a lot. I was shocked. That's the last circumstance I would expect to find somebody laughing in. And yet laughter was a really important part of their relationships together and how they coped. And so that blew my mind a little bit to see, wait a minute, it's not just that you laugh because you're extremely joyful. You can laugh in other circumstances. So what is laughter anyway?
Okay. Laughter is a single exercise routine that brings together mental, physical, emotional, spontaneity, and they all heal together. Yeah, you're kind of going, what did she just say?
I understand that spontaneity, because I can say, especially with those hospice patients, it wasn't that anyone was planning to create a humorous situation that everyone would laugh at. It's that something would happen and the natural response to it, or maybe it was a way of like letting off the tension of the moment, was just for someone to start laughing, and everyone else would be laughing.
Yes, too. Yes. What's absolutely amazing about laughter yoga, and I'll just kind of sidetrack here and say that it was founded by Dr. Madan Kataria in India, Mumbai, India, back in 1995. And he was a medical doctor and apparently used a lot of drugs with his patients, as so many physicians do. And his patients began to rebel and say, we don't want those drugs because of the side effect. We have to have something more. And so he ended up getting 5 people together, and they went to a park in Mumbai, India, every morning at 8 a.m. And they went and they told jokes and they laughed and they felt good. And then after about a week and a half, all of a sudden they ran out of good, clean jokes. So the jokes started getting a little raunchier, and the group just said, wow, no, we're not doing this. And he said, hold it, hold it, hold it. What do you mean? And he said, give me till tomorrow morning. And that night he spent half of the night researching everything that he could on laughter. He wasn't even sure what to do with laughter or how to get what he wanted. So it was really exciting. And one of the people, Dr. Norman Cousins, he had his book. So this is back in the 70s that Norman Cousins went through his treatment using laughter to cure lung disease. And
What's
and
the
he
name
came
of
back.
his book again? Norman Cousins' book?
Pardon me?
What's the name of Norman Cousins' book again?
It's called Anatomy of an Illness as Perceived by the Patient, and that's Norman Cousins.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
he was not a medical
reading
person.
that. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
reading that a long time ago.
Yes. And especially he was here in the US of A. And Dr. Madan Kataria got really excited about that. He went the next morning and he said, okay, here's what I learned. And what this guy did was turn on the TV, finding anything to laugh at. And he laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed his way into health. His physician was also very open-minded, and I believe they used IV vitamin C. And but the basic whole concept came the laughter. And so what they ended up doing, just to find out what do we do with this knowledge, they ended up having an agreement just to laugh at anything. You know, it's like kids. Kids will laugh, honest to heaven, at anything so many times, and then they get people laughing, etc. So it was really exciting. So the bottom line is they began to make up different scenarios. So the hello at the very beginning, you know, did I mean the ha 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 ha? I mean, it's really fun doing this talk, but is it really funny? Not really. But is it fun? And it is. And it's comprised of deep breathing. So you have some good diaphragmatic support and sound. And I'm going to go into details a little bit further on about the sound. And by the way, when I talk about laughter yoga, what's important as we get into the sound and how to stimulate the whole blue road, which you'll find out about in just a little while, and how to get over there with your sound. Boy, I just lost my train of thought. Oh dear. That it's not just laughter that counts. It's also singing. And if somebody wants to use movements, anything to be stimulating your throat center and doing the deep breathing. And so that's just the bottom line. And what they have found is that with the incredible results, it doesn't make any difference whether it's real or whether it's fake laughter, because almost all fake laughter will turn into real laughter after you do it for a while. And it becomes contagious when you're doing it in a group.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. And I was telling you before we started recording that there's this video that I love on YouTube called Buddha on the Train, which simply shows a man getting on a train in a crowded like subway car who starts laughing. And within a few minutes, every single person on that car is laughing, and none of them has any idea why they're laughing. They're laughing because everyone else is laughing and they can't help themselves. And that's one of my favorite things to watch if I'm feeling really down, because I start laughing too, just watching the video.
Yes.
So I totally get that. There doesn't have to be a reason to laugh, but if someone's laughing, it is contagious.
Yes. Yes. I'm going to have to look up that movie.
Yeah. So should I start sharing your slides right now?
Not quite.
Not
And
quite.
go through
Okay.
just
Okay.
a couple. I'll do this very quickly. First thing, you already know the first secret, you don't have to be funny or a comedian or a jokester in order to be successful with laughter yoga. And part of the laughter, especially when there's two or more, you certainly can do laughter yoga alone, but it is always more fun with two or more. And when you look in their eyes, and what happens when you establish eye contact with someone is that you get a release of oxytocin in the body, which is the love hormone, the connection hormone. And man, one of the things in healing is that we all need to open up to each other to help each other heal. And when you have that eye contact and you've got oxytocin flowing, you've got a really nice foundation for friendship, camaraderie, and just fun. You can train your body and your mind to laugh. You just say, fake it or make it. No difference. You'll notice we do a lot of clapping. And if you look at the palms and inner fingers, you'll see there are acupressure points. When you clap full-handed, you're stimulating all those points. Those points are also in your feet. So when you stomp, 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 which I do, I love it, especially with older people who are in wheelchairs or can't walk real far. I'll have them stomping their feet and they're getting really great stimulation to their body. So this is all about turning the body on at the same time. The deep breathing. And then here's a key: childlike playfulness. You just fake it, and all of a sudden one day you'll be with someone else and you'll start acting like a kid. You kind of go, huh. And so sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge for people to let go, to let that child open them up. But I'll tell you, it's pretty exciting. And the laughter exercises are just things around you. I could look and say, if you can see that palm tree right behind me, oh, look at it's tickling me. And you just make it up according to what's going on right now.
Wow. You're just inspiring these thoughts in my mind that what if doctors were able to utilize laughter? I'm sure some actually do, because I know some doctors that are really funny people that love to laugh, and it's kind of their orientation to life. So they probably utilize that in the exam room with patients. But if we could utilize it more often, one of our problems is doctors take themselves so seriously, and they take the medicine they're practicing so seriously that they can't access that laughter within themselves in the midst of their work.
And as you're saying that, I'm inspired to say, even like about 5 or 6 years ago, there were articles out how schools of dentistry were integrating laughter yoga in the chair. And so they taught the dental students how to laugh, and it really loosened them up. And as they loosened up, they got more spontaneous with their clients and didn't have the fear factor was greatly reduced, is the bottom line.
Mhm.
So pretty
Yeah, I
exciting.
can see that.
And boy, laughter yoga has been around long enough now, 26 years, that people have been so creative with, what it means, about the different exercises and going beyond boundaries and just using laughter yoga even at the Thanksgiving table. when it's prayer time, you close your hands, bow your head, and then you just laugh.
That'd be
So
the best grace you could ever say, to just laugh. And yeah, one of the reasons I was really excited to talk to you right now. Here we are, the beginning of February in 2021, is that we've just been through a really rough year and we have more difficult months ahead due to the pandemic. And I feel like so many people are feeling stressed and sad and overwhelmed, and that we really need more laughter in our world right now. I feel like this is something we need. And so I'm excited because you're going to teach us a little bit about how to have more laughter, both in this podcast interview, but also in the webinar that you'll be doing.
yes, the webinar, I'll be focusing on that really heavily.
Yeah.
So if you could go ahead and show the red blue slide.
All right. Let's see. Just give me a second here.
Wow, there I am. Okay. Oh, fantastic.
There.
Okay. And then when you're ready, go ahead to the very next slide. By the way, I am known as the laughter nurse. And the quote by Dr. Madan Kataria, "It's time to take laughter seriously." And I'm going to tell you why.
And I'll mention about these slides. Those of you who are just listening to the audio, I'll make a little handout of the slides that you can view. If you go to the show notes for this episode, you'll be able to see what we're seeing in the slides. So you can look at that while you're listening. But all right, we'll move
perfect.
on.
Thank you.
The red blue slide. I like how colorful your slides are, which
thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want you to focus over, for me, it's the right-hand side, and that's the red road. And the red road is stress. And it's interesting, especially back when I was a nurse practitioner and I was doing prescriptions and everything else. Stress came up so often in those sessions. And especially a high blood pressure, whatever's going on, it's stress. And then you just kind of go, yeah, okay, try this. And nobody knew what to do with it. And so I'm here to tell you, stress is one of the most important challenges that you will meet in this entire lifetime. And laughter yoga, wow, really, really addresses totally shifting out of stress. No drugs involved. And when you're talking about the red road and stress, you've got major stress hormones, adrenaline, and cortisol. So cortisol is the one that gets so much attention, even on TV. So I want you to keep that in mind, because I'm going to be coming back to it so that you can understand what we're going through with stress. So then I'm going to ask you to flip your gaze over to the blue road, and that's happiness. And it's all these happiness hormones and oxytocin. And it's when you get into your happiness hormones, you get a tremendous amount of peacefulness within. It's just peaceful and flowing, and not peaceful like I have to go take a nap. It is a state that is so incredible that when you get there, you want to go back. And then look in the center and you'll see the word breathe, and underneath, ha. And that is key. If you remember nothing more about this slide, know that the deep breathing is the most important thing that you can do with your sound. Now, when I have the workshop in 2 weeks, I'm going to be going more into this. But the ha just is a deep breath. And if you're, you can't really see my diaphragm area, but when you breathe deeply, you're filling up your lungs and the diaphragm is going to be stimulated. And then when you use the ha, it's your sound, and the sound is going to be vibrating. You're going to love this nerve, Karen, the vagus nerve. It is so exciting. But you need to understand, first of all, so in the red, when you say, well, what is stress? Well, I put a little list out here to make sure I'd get them all, and there's no way to get them all. But aggression, frustration, overwhelm, burnout, anger, hatred, bullying, warlike, depression. It's absolutely, oh my gosh, overwhelming. And then say, how do you get out of that mode when you find yourself overwhelmed with what's going on in your life and you don't know what to do? And how to do this without drugs is pretty cool. And it doesn't cost anything. Obviously, we're going to be talking about laughter yoga and how to use that therapeutically. The blue road, happiness, passion, love, satisfaction, wellness, cooperation, gratitude, communication, collaboration. The list goes on. And each one, and you can't say, well, I'm half in one, half in the other. It doesn't work that way. You are either one, you're either in the red road and the stress hormones, or you're in the blue road. And again, the bridge, the key to moving from that red road of stress into the blue road of happiness is in the breath and your sound. So,
wow, it's amazing that it's so simple, and beautiful that it's so simple, because you don't have to have any equipment with you. You don't need anything. You can utilize this wherever you are at any time.
yes, you are so right. So that's basically it. But now I'm going to give you the clinker. So I had 35 years in massage therapy. I also had my own school during that time for a while. And I always sought, especially with my clients or whatever I was, to find out what's the bottom line. I got a really good glimpse of what people have inside of them, especially the emotions that are repressed and how that fits into their illness, their disease, or their accidents. And I wanted to find what the bottom line system in the body was, where if that, and this is getting very simplistic, but if that is open, everything else will be open. And so here is a statement. The bottom line in the body, in my opinion and experience, just happens to be the immune system. And stress, meaning all of the stress biochemically that are in your body, closes down your immune system. Period. The end. Now, Karen, you just brought me into this so perfectly to where you go, well, what do I do with this? So take just a little bit of reflection and think about your immune system and what it does. And if your immune system is overwhelmed because you have so much stress that it just closes down, and thoughts of COVID will do that. Family members who are sick or dying or have died, just that one humongous piece of what we're going through, especially in the last year. And now, Janet, you're telling me that we can move through this easier. We don't have to really mean the laughing, but you start out there. It doesn't cost anything. So it's not like taking a pill, and there aren't, oh God, the side effects are incredible. And so I want to tell you a statistic that was with stress, to just let you know that the director in the body happens to be the heart. And the heart tells the brain, the heart is constantly spanning and looking, okay, do you have to be in fear? Because the opposite of happiness is fear. Love, fear, love, fear, stress, fear. So when the heart goes, oh my gosh, alert, 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 the brain then puts out 1,400 biochemicals within the body so that you can breathe and get through that time. There's only one problem with that. We've moved into an era where we live every day in stress and fear. And if it isn't one thing, it's another, and we're not getting any reprieves. So you can imagine what our immune systems are going through. And then secondly, you say, well, what do I do? And I'm going into that next. But I want it to be really clear that to stay in stress is extremely detrimental and very damaging to the body. Mm-hmm. And it's easily reversible. And that to me is really exciting.
It is. It's so powerful. Such powerful knowledge to have and a tool to have.
Yes. And by the way, that was research that was done by HeartMath. Karen, are you familiar with HeartMath?
Yes. I love the work they're doing.
Yes. So next slide, please.
All right.
This, by the way, is my favorite slide. Vibrate your Vegas. And you go, huh? Are we all going to meet in Vegas, VAGAS? No, I'm going to talk to you just a bit about the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is it's the 10th cranial nerve. It comes out from the brain, behind the ear, and that bone comes around. It has two sides to it, a right and a left. Goes right over your voice box, down into your chest and the diaphragm, and into the abdominal area. Now, you say, okay, Janet, I'm going to tell you, I've taught this to people who are in their 90s and over 100, and they remember it. And they laugh when they say they told their family about the vagus nerve, and they all go, huh? What have you been doing? And so here's the deal. When you use your sound, your voice box is going to vibrate. And it's going to vibrate the vagus nerve. And if you know anything, for people listening to this, about The nerves, they put off electrical energy. And so when the vagus nerve is vibrating, what happens is it's putting out this wonderful, wonderful electrical, not like sticking your finger in a socket on the wall, but electrical energy that is bringing the life force into all of your body and the internal organs. So I'm going to give you just a little taste of the vagus nerve. So if you would please kind of expose your neck a little bit. And then take your 4 fingers. How can I get this on there? Okay. Put them just gently over your larynx, your voice box. And now I want you to hum with me. And when you hum, I want you to pay attention to your voice box, which is underneath your fingers. And I want you to feel that vibration. Okay?
Okay.
I'm going to start now. Hum, hum. And if you can feel it, great. And if you can't, you can put it off to, you can put your fingers off to the left or the right or above until you do find it. And I've never had someone who couldn't find it, even if they're moving their fingers around. And what that vibration is doing is bringing the life force energy into the body. And then you combine that with your breath, and you've got some really cool healing going on.
So Janet, this tells me why it's important that we laugh out loud, that just like reading something humorous and being aware of the humor or reacting to it internally isn't the same as actually bursting out in laughter.
Karen, you are so right. You are so correct. Years ago, I studied a Tibetan curriculum of sound, color, vibration, so we had to get good with our hum. And what's really interesting is if you hear the Tibetan monks when they hum and tone, and many of them can split their sound into 4 and 5 different vibrations and sound.
Wow.
Like, whoa, I can't do that. But the vagus nerve, I think, is the most wonderful, wonderful nerve in the entire body. And I don't know if you're familiar with the fact that years ago, someone was getting it about the vagus nerve. And it was in the medical field. And they thought, what if we put something in like a pacemaker, put it in the upper chest, and then wire it into the brain to see what effect that has on epilepsy. Are you familiar with this research, Karen?
No, I'm not.
Absolutely incredible. And guess what happened? Majority of the people, it stopped their seizures. Stopped them. So they thought, and they went on and they began to measure people with depression, people with arthritis and inflammation. And as of about 4 or 5 years ago, they were so excited over epilepsy, depression, arthritis, and inflammation. And this comes from a little unit that's underneath the skin, just like a heart pacemaker. And it's stimulating the vagus nerve. Now, you and I cannot duplicate that right now. It's not available. But there was an interview that I was reading, and it talked about saying, oh my gosh, what these all have in common is inflammation. And they're correct. And then somebody put it together that inflammation is there during cancer. And they went, oh my gosh, this has tremendous implications for the treatment of cancer. So there are, as we speak, there are people out there who are getting a whole lot of benefit out of using their own sound. And then to know that the Western medical model is participating in this research is pretty exciting. So with laughter yoga, you're looking at, there is no monetary investment unless you want to buy a new outfit before you laugh. It costs nothing. And you can do it whenever you want. And here's, whoops, I want to make sure I get a chance to say this. If you would go back to the red-blue slide, please, Karen.
Okay.
Oh, you're great. Absolutely great. So where you want to be is when you breathe, ha. So if you're upset, if you're having problems and you just want to stop for a minute, that is great. And I will tell you that one of the things I used to do is just get a towel, roll it up and scream into it. Pretty incredible with what that does with the energies. And people don't have to hear you scream, but there is something about releasing that from the body. But the point that you get to is this state of the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the blue road. And you've got 1,400 hormones and chemicals in the body to support you in staying on the blue road. And you find that all of a sudden the things that bothered you before, I'll tell you, first of all, number one, easy peasy to get your blood pressure down. Easy peasy to help with cholesterol, and you want to do it. This is something that happened to me not long ago, and there was someone in an authority position that decided to take me on for whatever reason, have no idea of her motivation. And she was really, really upset. And it made me so angry because she wouldn't listen to me at all. And I went and I did my laughter yoga and I did a couple other things. And all of a sudden I went, oh, doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And in a real purity of heart, I could say, it doesn't bother me anymore. It's just not there. So there's something magical happening when you are living in your parasympathetic nervous system, where no matter where you're at and you're angry or whatever, when you do the you, by the way, anyone can go in the bathroom and just do that if you don't want to be heard. I find that people don't even bother to look at me if I do So it's pretty exciting, that peaceful, loving, balanced, wonderful, wonderful blue road is accessible to us for just breathing and then laughing or singing. So you can turn on your favorite songs. I like to put Andre Rieu. Are you familiar with him?
No.
Oh man, wonder he has an orchestra and he does popular classical music, just incredible. And I'll just sing along as he's playing songs, or I'll put on Peter, Paul and Mary or John Denver and I sing with them. So all what you want to do is get those lungs breathing deeply and your vagus nerve vibrating through your voice box. That's the key.
And Janet, I was wondering, have you found that the more you practice this, like intentionally decide, I'm going to use my voice, I'm going to laugh, I'm going to breathe vocally, that the easier it gets to stay on the blue road, to stay in that state. And also the easier it is to like automatically start to breathe, breathe more and laugh more.
Yes. What I find for me is that it's because I crave being back there. I don't want to feel, this is my childlike little thing. I don't want to feel icky poopy. I want to feel good about me. And when I'm not feeling good about me, I stop and I will do laughing, I will do singing, and I will do ha's. And it's motivated because it feels so good when I do it. Actually, kind of surprised myself. Went, wow, I want to do. It's like when I can tell that I'm on the blue road is when I don't want comfort foods. And I'll go, I'm just not even hungry for it. So there's something very special. I'm going to be going more into that when I do my workshop in 2 weeks. But I'd like to, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, oh, now I lost my train of thought. um, okay, just go ahead. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought there.
Well, when you catch it, you just put your little hand up. And
All right.
I want to tell you that there are so many articles out there on the healing of laughter yoga. There was one, and this was even back in 2015. Are you familiar with the Cancer Treatment Centers of America?
Yes, I've heard of that before.
It's a chain, and there are either 4 or 5 of them, but the one in Philadelphia has laughter yoga as part of their cancer treatment. Laughter yoga has been studied to heal post-traumatic stress disorder. And here is an article, Fighting COVID with 30 minutes of laughter every day. Generally, what's recommended is 10 to 15 minutes a day. And if you only do it 5 times a week, that's fine, but you can do it anytime you want. And generally, I find you're going to do it more if you're doing it with someone else. You could call up a good friend and laugh on the phone. You could see if there's laughter yoga classes in your community. Many times they're free of charge. So that if you increase it, they have found that it helps, it's opening your immune system. So I want to make that clear that when you go in the red road, stress has closed down your immune system. On the blue road, your immune system is open.
And, it occurs to me, Janet, that some of us may be living in so much chronic stress every single day that we don't even realize it. Like some of us may not even know what it would be like to be on that blue road and experience the peace and relaxation that you'd feel on that road because we're just used to being in a state of stress all the time.
You are 2,000,000% correct, Karen. You really are. Yeah, and this is why it's helpful if there's 2 or more. So, and just so people know, I do have a program where I do work with groups doing laughter yoga, breathing, and then those people go out and they help with the breathing also. This is terrific for nurses, doctors, teachers, lawyers, Indian chiefs, anybody, including a child. You can just grab your grandchild, grab a neighbor, and just sit and laugh, and you'll just keep going. And all of a sudden, you stop and now what they have found is that just 10 minutes in the morning pretty much keeps you even all day, depending on what you are dealing with.
That's nice to know.
I want to share something here because I found it to be really powerful. I was working with a hospital. Particularly, I started with one of the groups that their unit had 23 master's prepared nurses and 3 master's prepared social workers. And they came in to a room with me just to do laughter yoga for 1 hour. And that was great. So anyways, I started, and I'm looking at them going, they're not looking at each other. You know, I pretty much know how to handle a group, and I know how not to hook into that. And then during the session, I would just kind of ignore whatever, if they were backing up, I just let them do whatever they needed to do. And even if their mouth wasn't moving, that I could tell that they were feeling anything, how just in that 1 hour setting, by the time of the end of that class, they were laughing together with eye contact. And when things were all over and the room was being vacated, the director came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, oh, Janet, you have no idea." And she mentioned one person, and she said, "That person has worked here 17 years and she doesn't talk to anybody. She doesn't have eye contact. She doesn't like to have participation in management meetings." She was one of those who took her about almost 40 minutes, but she began to laugh, and it shifted everything. And I got feedback after that. By the way, do this exercise with me, please. It's very good, yay. And very good, yay. That's something we do in between laughter yoga exercises. And she was telling me before all the meetings, they would do the very good, yay.
Wow. I can see so many applications, and I'm really interested. I know that you don't specifically work with people in hospice or palliative care necessarily, and that's the area that a lot of listeners are involved in, but I can see how this could be so important for people who are working with patients at the end of life and experiencing the stress of that. And so we're running out of time, Janet. So as we
I
move,
know.
I wanted to mention the webinar that's coming up, the free webinar that you'll be teaching on February 17th. And I will have a registration form that people can sign up, and it's over Zoom. And the reason we're doing it in a webinar format, right, is so people can, it's experiential, so people can do these exercises along with you and really learn how to utilize laughter yoga.
Yes. If I could say just one thing for caregivers. Number one, it's important to have support, not just you on your own, but when you take that time to do the and then laughing or singing, even in the morning, sing on the way to work, you can maintain that parasympathetic happiness state all day, and sometimes for more than a day. And there has been research to show, whether you're a teacher and you've got students, whether it's a nurse and you've got patients, or you're a caregiver and you've got someone transitioning, that the focus, when the caregiver, when the teacher, when the nurse, when they get into the parasympathetic state, it affects their patients and their students.
I totally
many times,
believe that. Yeah.
And then even to have someone who is transitioning, take a breath and put some sound there. And what we'll go into is what happens when you precede that with a fake smile. and how that shifts the energy. But it only takes one person to shift. And then working with families, because caregivers oftentimes they're either part of the family or they're working with the family. And when they get in that parasympathetic state, it becomes a very attractive energy, and automatically the people around them will change.
Wow, that's so powerful. And
Yeah.
Janet, I'm so excited for the webinar and to learn more and do more of the practices that you're going to teach us for laughter yoga.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll just encourage everyone. Well, they can go to your website, janetcarrollrn.com, and Carroll has 2 R's and 2 L's, but also come to the show notes for this episode, and there will be a registration link for anyone who wants to sign up for the webinar. And we're recording the webinar, so if you can't attend live, you can go back and listen to the replay of it later.
Well, thank you so much, Karen. This has been fun.
Yeah, thank you, Janet. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait. I can't wait for the 17th to learn more from you. So,
all right.
All right. Until then, keep laughing.
And I want to say, you are awesome. And we are awesome. Yay.
Okay. Take care, Janet, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds great. Bye-bye, Karen.
Bye-bye.